touching on it and moving back again.
Yeah, and we do it together. And I think it's not about having this great catharsis where we're going to be having our wailing and gnashing of teeth and the huge tears and wow. It doesn't have to be that. In fact, therapy sometimes is a little blip of feeling, and that's good. Well done. Good work.
Mm.
You felt a little bit of something, whatever that was, and you were able to talk about it a little bit. Well done.
Yeah.
Good job. Great session. Come
Mm.
back next week.
Yeah.
And sometimes, yes, the tears come out, the emotions come out. We'll sit there with that client when that happens and help them to feel it, but also help them to contain it.
Mm.
That's our job too, isn't it? To slow it down. Let's take a breath.
I'm curious about people who are extremely driven, really high achievers, constantly striving, often very successful.
Yeah.
Can you describe, and this is a generalization, but can you
Sure.
describe a bit about what might be behind that for some people and what the cost of that can be?
Mm. I think about it as firstly, where did that come from? This perfectionist part, this striving part. And it might have come from a really good place, or it might have come from you better or else. Maybe it came from a trauma space. Maybe it's innate in that person that they were born that way to strive. I also wonder about behind that, is there a fear of failure or a fear of not being successful or a skewed idea of I'm successful, but why aren't I happy? I got there, but okay, you got there. Wow, fantastic. Let's champion that. Amazing. How are you doing that? And also, what else in your life? Are there parts of you that you're not enjoying or parts of you that you miss, parts of your life that you miss having all this success? Success is good. It is. And so is not being so successful, and so is other stuff. So, I guess my question would be, I'm wondering about what's stopping you from looking at pleasure or things that make you happy or things that give you joy. Do you have moments of joy? Tell me more about that. Do you struggle to stop? Why? And sometimes what can come up is the should, but I should. I should do this. I should be better. I should always be achieving. That should to me is the alarm bell. Ding, ding, ding. Should comes with judgment. You're not good enough. You're inner critic. The perfectionist and the inner critic, best friends. And the inner critic there, championing. Yeah, going, yay, you go for it, you idiot. You go for it. You make sure you're successful. You go for it. Not helpful, as opposed to the inner mentor who might be, yay, go for it. You're doing really well. Take a break.
It sounds like the inner mentor is more balanced.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And and that's something to cultivate. The perfectionist is that person, I think, and I wonder about, is the person that struggles to fail, struggles to make mistakes, struggles to deal with making mistakes. And so behind that perfectionist is that. Whereas the striver, it's sort of a different term. Brene Brown talks about that. I think, the striver is the person that wants to work on being as good as they can be while also knowing they're flawed. We make mistakes, but we learn from them. That's what reflective practice is all about as counselors. Yeah, we make mistakes. We come to supervision, we talk about it. Oh my gosh, you won't believe what I did in my last session, and I was completely stuck and I didn't know and I couldn't get my words out and everything was all wrong. And we unpack that, we reflect upon it so we get better at what we do. So we strive as opposed to be perfect.
It's almost a subtle but really important difference that
Mm.
there is nothing wrong with striving and
No,
achieving and
no.
working hard and
Mm.
putting our heart and soul and
Yeah.
mind into something.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to know where we're coming from when
Mm.
we're doing it
Yeah.
and why we're doing it.
Well, exactly. So it's picking up on the should, and when we hear the should, it's like, oh, there's the should again. Okay. Right. But it's okay, there's the should. Let me rephrase that for myself. What do I want to be doing? What do I feel I need to be doing? What's important for me to be doing right now?
Is there another part of me screaming for rest, screaming
Yes,
for compassion?
yes. Who's
Is there
there
an
right
inner
now?
war in here between the part of me that's
Mm,
achieving and the part of me that's just like,
yeah,
oh my God, we
yeah.
can't keep doing this?
No, and that part of me that has no voice at all, let's hear from them right now. What is that voice saying? Is it okay to give them a go? So, okay, let's unpack. I want to hear. Tell me more
Yeah.
about this screaming. What are you screaming about? I want my turn. Okay, let's have your turn. Is that okay? That this part of you has the turn now. We might ask the others, in the inner committee, is it okay in a committee if this part has their turn now to speak? It's part of the agenda. They can speak too. Is that all
Yeah.
right? And let's invite that.
Mm,
We can have the others have their opinions on it all. It does sound like there's lots of people at the table, and that's okay. And sometimes there's not.
mm.
But it's listening out for those little clues. The should is that thing that has judgment behind it. The want or the need or the I'd like to is where the change starts to come in, where the values come in, where what's important to me comes in, or what I think might be important. I'd like to try.
Yeah. So this inner mentor, this kind of deeper,
Mm.
truer, perhaps part of us helps us to connect with what's actually important to us
Yeah.
rather than what we have come to believe we should be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah. I think it's when it comes to that should of, I should be better, I should be coping, I should be feeling my emotions, but I feel nothing. I should be a better client. What does that mean? And I might ask the client themselves. You just said to me, I should be a better client. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like? If you
Mm,
were a better client, what would I be seeing that's different right
mm,
now? Is there something you want me to be telling you about what you're like as a client?
mm.
Maybe they're wanting at the moment some validation, some a thank you, some gratitude for how hard they're working in session.
Yeah. What can a client do, or even someone who's listening right
Mm,
now,
mm,
when they're feeling paralyzed
mm.
about a decision or afraid of making the wrong choice, if they're
Yeah.
finding themselves at that fork in the road
Mm-hmm.
and they're feeling really paralyzed, what
Mm-hmm.
can they do?
Yeah. Okay. To me, the first thing we do is work on that sense of frozen. So let's bring the parasympathetic nervous system back online. So we soothe first. So let's learn how to do that.
So it sounds like you're saying that the first step is not about the decision at all.
No,
It's about let's
let's
get you into a more embodied,
correct.
regulated place.
Yes, let's go there because once we're there, then we can think.
Mm.
Now, that doesn't mean we make a decision.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what comes next?
Yeah.
Once we're regulated,
Yeah.
soothed.
So then the next part is let's talk about that paralysis. What's happening for you? Well, I'm looking at the fork in the road and whatever it is. And tell me more about that. What if I make the wrong decision? What if you do? What's the worst thing about that? What's the best thing about that? So we just keep unpacking, you know, tell me more about this decision versus this decision. We're looking at the pros and cons, if you like, the value of change, the value of not changing. You've got to look at both sides. What if I stay the same? Okay, what if you do stay the same? What's the benefit of that? And what's the cost of that? And then what if I change? What's the benefit of that? And what's the cost of that? Yeah, so we keep unpacking pros and cons, if you like. That's one part. And we're unpacking again what's important out of all of that. And
Yeah.
then what's possible now.
Can you tell me a bit about the fear of changing
Mm,
and what is that
mm.
about? How does that show up?
How does it show up? It can often show up as I don't know. That can be one of the first things. The I don't know can be a fear response. It can be I don't want to talk about it right now. It's a barrier, like a boundary. That's what I'm looking for. It's a boundary. I don't want to go there. It could be a complete I actually don't know. I have no idea. I'm so confused. Yeah, which is a great starting point. Let's talk about the confusion. Let's talk about what it's like not to know. Maybe there's also that fear of making the mistake or being judged, doing the wrong thing. What if it doesn't work for me? You know, what if it's just completely wrong? What if it doesn't work?
There's a bit of, I have to get this right
Mm,
in there, and that the stakes are very high when
yeah,
making a decision.
yeah,
It may be a big decision or it may be a small
yes,
decision. And this is very familiar to me,
yeah, yeah.
that I have to get it right. And I think that speaks to something underneath that, like a kind of foundational feeling, right? Of like, I'm not safe and therefore I have to get everything perfect
Mm-hmm.
out here.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make the right decision
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm not going to be okay.
Yeah. And that to me is where the all or nothing thinking comes in, the black and white thinking, that's where the either or. And it's easy for me to say, it's not about either or. It's about the grey. So sometimes it's about, if this particular decision is difficult, let's take steps backwards. What else is going on before we make this decision? Let's keep unpacking it. Let's keep unpacking these pros and cons and understanding them better.
Yeah.
So smaller steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experimenting.
Experimenting a
Mm.
little bit, you know. Yes, things can be dire, so you might need to make a decision, you might need to make it quickly. Okay. So we might need to, I don't want to say hurry the process, but I don't want to ignore the urgency either. But it still comes back, and I'm going to do a but. See, I'm arguing with myself here. So it does come back to what's doable right now, what's important today. Okay, tomorrow might be a different decision, but today, in this very moment, what's important and then what's doable? Are you ready to do it? Do you have what you need to do it?
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. And then tomorrow might be a different part of that decision.
You work in a strengths based way. What does that actually mean in practice? What
Mm.
would that look like and feel like for a client?
Yeah. It's a way of being, I think, and it's a way of listening, and it's a way of asking questions too. So as a way of being, it means that I come into a session with you, I value you for who you are. I'm interested in who you are. I'm interested in what you believe in, what you like, what you don't like, what makes you happy, what makes you sad, all of those things. I'm interested in that. You as your unique person.